Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something much bigger than just a simple scam. We're going to dissect a highly structured, almost industrial system of emotional exploitation. Think of this as a forensic look at the real architecture of the modern romance scam, from its psychological blueprints all the way to its devastating financial impact. Okay, let's get into it. So first, let's just get a handle on the sheer scale of this problem. This number you're looking at, $2.4 billion. That's how much was lost to romance scams by older adults in the US just in 2024 alone. This isn't some niche crime. We're talking about a massive, systematic extraction of wealth. And this chart right here really shows you how fast this industry is exploding. We're looking at a 400% increase in just 4 years. This tells you we're not talking about lone opportunists anymore. These are professional, almost assembly line operations, and they are designed for maximum psychological and financial damage. So how in the world do they pull this off? Well, it all starts with Act 1, the meticulous, step-by-step construction of a completely fake but totally irresistible identity. This is the foundation of the entire lie. Scammers almost always use what experts call high-trust backstories. And you probably notice a theme here, right? These jobs project success, honor, a bit of heroism even. But here's the crucial part. They also give the scammer a built-in, rock-solid excuse for why they can't meet in person, or why their video calls are always glitchy. It's the perfect cover story. So once that fake persona is in place, the psychological game begins. And the first tool they use is a technique called lovebombing. We're talking an absolute fire hose of affection. Declarations of undying love, talk of marriage, planning your whole future together, and this can happen within just a few weeks. The goal here is to accelerate the relationship so quickly that it just bypasses your brain's natural BS detector. And none of this is random. It follows a very specific, structured pipeline. You can see here, this is a long game. It's slow, it's deliberate. Right after they make contact, they'll push you to move to a private app, like WhatsApp, that gets you away from any platform moderators. And then they spend months, just carefully building trust before a single cent is ever even mentioned. Okay, so that brings us to Act 2. We've seen the what they do, now let's dig into the why it works so well. This part is all about hacking the fundamental systems of human attachment and trust. Now this is where it gets really clever. Scammers use a tactic called mirroring. They will literally study their victim's profile, read all their messages, and then adopt their exact interests, their values, their sense of humor. They become a perfect reflection of the victim. And the effect is incredibly powerful. You feel like you've literally found your soulmate. Then, they deploy something called performative vulnerability. They'll share these fabricated, tragic backstories, maybe a spouse who died tragically or a betrayal that left them heartbroken. This is engineered to trigger your natural caregiving instincts. It creates this intense bond over shared secrets, and it makes the victim feel like they have a special duty to protect this person and the relationship. And believe it or not, there's actual brain chemistry at play here. The constant emotional highs, that feeling of being so loved, so understood, it creates a chemical dependency in the brain. The victim literally gets addicted to the dopamine rush that comes from the scammer's attention. And that makes the idea of losing the relationship feel physically and emotionally unbearable. And this leads us right into Act 3, where we're going to put the actual words and scripts they use under a microscope. We're going to look at the very specific language of the lie. Okay, a phrase like this, or something very close to it, is a cornerstone of the scam. It sounds incredibly romantic, right? But it's not. It's a setup. Think of it like a verbal contract. When the scammer says, "I would do anything for you," they are planting a seed. They're preconditioning the victim, setting the stage so that when they later ask for money, the victim feels obligated to do anything for them in return. Then, when it's time to ask for money, you'll see the language shift dramatically. Suddenly, there's a crisis, a medical emergency, a business deal gone wrong, a problem with customs, and their messages will be flooded with words like these. This urgency is designed to create a state of panic, because when you're panicking, you're not thinking rationally, and you're definitely not stopping to ask for a second opinion. So the main takeaway here is that every single word has a purpose. Nothing is accidental. As this table shows, the over-the-top affection is there to establish dependency. The constant demands for secrecy, that's about isolating the victim from their support system, from anyone who might spot the red flags. Each phrase is a tool being used to achieve a very specific goal. Now we get to the climax of the whole operation. This is the moment everything has been building towards, the carefully managed transition from emotional connection to financial extraction. This is where all that groundwork finally pays off for the scammer. They don't just ask for $50,000 out of the blue. They use what's known as the ladder of escalation. It starts really small, like a test request for a few $100 to pay a phone bill. This just normalizes the idea of sending them money. Once the victim does that, they escalate to these high-stakes crises that require huge wire transfers. And the final, most dangerous step is when they turn the victim into a money mule, using their bank account to illegally move money. And this next tactic is just incredibly cynical. It's a long-term strategy that experts call the rest year. After they've taken a huge amount of money, the scammer will just stop asking for more, sometimes for months or even a whole year. This does two things. One, it lets the victim's finances recover. But more importantly, it reinforces the victim's belief that the relationship isn't just about money, which of course keeps the door wide open for them to be scammed again later. And this brings us to our final act, the resolution. And honestly, it's a tragic one, because it explains the powerful psychological prison that makes it almost impossible for victims to escape, even when they're staring undeniable proof right in the face. A key reason for this is something called cognitive dissonance. See, it's extremely uncomfortable for our brains to hold two conflicting ideas at the same time, like I am a smart, intelligent person, and I am being completely fooled by a scam. To get rid of that discomfort, the victim often makes a choice, and it's to double down on their belief in the scammer because that's less painful than admitting they were wrong. This is the question that everybody asks, and the answer often lies in something called the sunk cost fallacy. Think about it. After you've invested so much time, so much emotion, and so much money, stopping feels like admitting that everything you sacrificed was for absolutely nothing. So you keep sending more, hoping that the next payment will be the one that finally leads to that happy ending you were promised. So as you can see, it's really a combination of all these interlocking psychological traps. Cognitive dissonance makes them deny the evidence. The sunk cost fallacy keeps them compliant. And often a powerful trauma bond forms, which can lead to this strange loyalty to their abuser, where they'll actually defend the scammer to their own family or even to law enforcement. And just when you think this couldn't get any more sophisticated, the entire system is getting a massive upgrade from technology. The new frontier is artificial intelligence. AI can now generate perfectly empathetic, convincing scripts at scale. And deepfake technology can create lifelike video calls, which totally undermines the old advice to just get on a video call to prove who they are. The deception is becoming almost impossible to distinguish from reality. Which leaves us with a final, really unsettling question. This isn't just about money anymore. When a system of deception is so perfectly engineered to hack our deepest human needs for connection, and it's being supercharged by technology that can create a synthetic reality, how do we ever learn to trust what we see and feel again?